Good morning, world. Cece here. Hey, so in some of my recent talks, we've talked about protecting our first hour of our day, choosing happiness now, and even how failure can sometimes be the very thing that helps us grow. But there's one simple habit that quietly supports all of these ideas, and that is gratitude. Now, when people hear that word, sometimes they think it means something big or complicated. But gratitude is actually one of the simplest shifts we can make in our thinking. And yet it's something many of us forget to practice. Most people wake up in the morning and the first thing they do is grab their phone, emails, social media, news. Here's that broken record again. You've heard me say this before. And they do this even before their feet hit the floor. But what if we did something different? What if, before the world had a chance to decide how you feel, we decided first? Gratitude has a powerful way of shifting our perspective, because when we intentionally think about what we're grateful for, our mind naturally moves away from what's missing. So instead of focusing on what we don't have, we begin to see what we already do. And sometimes those things are incredibly simple. Again, a roof over our head, food to eat, clean drinking water, the ability to wake up and take another breath. It's easy to overlook these things because they feel normal to us. But when you step back and look at the bigger picture of the world, you realize that those things are actually incredible blessings. Billions of people are still hoping for things many of us experience every day. And that kind of perspective can change how we see our own lives. This is also one of the reasons I talk so much about protecting that first hour of our day. Because the way you begin your morning often sets the tone for everything that follows. If you start your day with stress, you carry that stress with you. But if you start your day with gratitude, your mindset begins in a completely different place. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that life doesn't bring challenges. It absolutely does. We all experience difficulties, loss, unexpected problems. But gratitude doesn't mean pretending those things don't exist. It simply means recognizes that even though you're in the middle of challenges, there are still things worth appreciating. This last year, I did Rhonda Byrne's 28-day gratitude challenge. It was designed for 28 days, being the overachiever I sometimes am. I think I did it over 50. But what I discovered during that time was that gratitude goes much deeper than the things we usually list. Most people start with, the obvious things, the kids, the spouse, their home, pets. And those things absolutely do matter. But the real shift begins when we start looking for gratitude in places where it's harder to see. For example, money. It's easy to be grateful for money when we feel like we have plenty of it. But when things feel tight, gratitude for money can feel almost impossible. Yet if you step back and think about it, money has quietly provided many things throughout your lives and childhood. We've talked about the roof over your head. What about the money that your parents had that put the roof over your head and clothes on your back and food to eat? You didn't have to pay for any of that, but yet it was prepared for you. The car gets us where we need to go. So even if we feel lack in the moment, there's a long history of ways money has supported our lives. And when you look at it that way, gratitude becomes easier. Here's another example: relationships. Maybe there's someone in your life you don't get along with anymore, possibly an ex-spouse. There might still be hurt there. But if you share children with that person, something beautiful also came from that relationship. And when you look into your children's eyes, you're reminded of the gift that came from that connection. Sometimes gratitude comes from recognizing that gift, even when the relationship itself didn't last. And sometimes gratitude is simply appreciating the body that carries us through life. I'll be honest. Throughout my life, my weight has fluctuated up and down. And especially depending on what's going on emotionally in my life. But even when I'm not exactly where I want to be physically, I am still grateful for my body. I didn't, again, it took a lifetime for me to get there. It gets me out of bed every morning. It carries me through the day. It allows me to experience life in a wonderful way. And when I'm in a good space mentally, my body responds to that. That's the deeper level of gratitude. It's not just about being thankful for the easy things. It's learning to see value in places we might otherwise overlook. Here's one simple practice you can try. While you're still laying in bed in the morning, take a moment and think of 3 things that you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. In fact, the small things are often the most powerful. But when you do this consistently every morning, something interesting begins to happen. Your outlook changes. You become calmer, more resilient, more capable of handling whatever the day brings. Gratitude doesn't make life perfect, but it does make it more meaningful. And sometimes that simple shift in perspective can change everything. There are a couple really helpful things that I listen to almost every morning. I shift between different ones, but I love on YouTube Motoversity. And it has a lot of great speakers, but one of them is Eric Thomas's, I can't remember what it's called now. It's about gratitude. I'm sure if you look up YouTube Eric Thomas Motoversity, you'll see it. Another one is a lot of Tony Robbins has great things, and so does Rhonda Byrne. And so there's things I shift every morning. YouTube's great, and it starts my day before I even get out of bed. I wake up. Before I used to grab my phone, now I grab the remote and turn these things on and let it start my day. So as always, take care of your mind, and the rest has a better chance of falling into place. Until next time, this is Cece. And this is Cece Talks Live, real talk, real life. Have a wonderful day.